Okay, that was Steins Gate, Season 1, Episode 4. I can tell you a lot of, specific reasons why I'm liking the show so far, but I can't tell you what the feeling I have is of just, adoration and love that I have for the show right now. There's just, a feeling in my stomach watching this show that I'm I adore it, and I can't put my finger on it. It's I love the pacing, I love the humor, I love the dialogue, I love the writing, I love everything, basically, but there's something special that I can't really describe.
If I were to try to put words to it, I feel like there's types of shows where every single episode feels like, I don't know, a masterpiece or something like that. But this show, there's something about the feeling of the unknowing. Normally, I don't like not knowing what exactly is going on, or trying to figure things out, or maybe a confusing atmosphere. If you use that word, you would be like, oh, that doesn't sound like a very attractive, entertaining experience to be confused or be trying to piece things together.
Yeah.
But there's something about how they're doing this that I feel like I need to finish the show. There's something about this feeling of I'm in the journey now and I need to finish it, and I'm enjoying the journey, and then once it's finished, it's like the whole thing is complete.
Yeah.
And not just every 23 minutes feels like a complete thing necessarily. It feels very much like it's not even cut up into episodes almost.
I think that's a really good point, because that adds so much quality to a show, in my opinion, when it's not oh, this is when the commercial break happens. Oh, they have to end it here to leave off in a satisfying spot so that people will watch next week. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like that. It almost feels like a movie being
Yeah, I don't even kind of have... It's so hard to put into words because all you can talk about is the feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't have that same feeling of, oh, okay, this episode's over, can't wait for next week. And then going into the next episode, it feels like a new episode. But I don't have that with this show. There's something else that's going on.
Yeah, and I love it. Look, after starting AutoSave, I have very quickly learned I don't watch anything. I have not watched a lot of anime, TV, or movies. But, growing up, and the people I was around, I watched Dragon Ball Z, so I was the anime kid. That's all I watched, right? But, so I don't really know if what I'm about to say is true, but it feels like there is such originality in every single character in this show, and it's and there's so much depth to it, and it's original, which I don't see a lot, right? There's no gimmick characters really a bit. I think that there's no gimmick characters, but a character like Mayuri has a gimmick, and it's just one layer to all of these different things going on with her at the moment, and her past that we're getting glimpses of.
Mayuri's currently my favorite character still.
Yeah.
There's something about her energy on the screen that I feel like she completely kind of encapsulates the idea and feeling that I feel watching the show of kind of the uncertainty, instability almost of understanding.
Curiosity for me is
that's that's Kurisu. Because Kurisu even identifies as being too curious, and that's getting her into trouble.
Kurisu is shown to be the curious one here, but in describing my feelings towards the show, whenever I see Mayuri on the screen, I'm so curious about her.
Wonder.
And, yeah, I'm so I don't know, obviously I was suspicious of her a bit ago in the first two episodes, but this episode I'm God, whenever Mayuri was on screen, there was such a big parallel to space. Her
the
star to
stars
shake
always,
hand, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
the stars are always there.
Yeah, and then just thinking about how that connects with this the whole idea of a satellite and everything. This episode, more than any of the previous ones, I felt had more emphasis on space. You know,
she's the character that feels ethereal. If you were to find out at the end of this series that one of the characters was actually a figment of Kyoma's imagination, it would be her.
Without a doubt,
she would be a fairy or a ghost or a figment of his imagination, his imaginary friend, an alien. I don't know. That's what she would be.
Yeah.
a memory that he is
That's
just
so interesting.
has with him at all times. There's something about her energy on the screen that I really, really enjoy.
I don't know what age range or like genre you'd put this show in, but I need more of that in my life. I love it. I really, really like the show 4 episodes in, and that's cool to feel.
I compared it in reaction in watching this episode in terms of dialogue and the quickness of conversation, and kind of the feeling that it's almost like they're having a real conversation. It doesn't feel as like scripted. It's like super on point of when they retaliate, I guess, in conversation, that I compared it to Kaguya-sama Love is War, because it's these 2 intellectuals, these 2 scientists. Obviously, all of the characters kind of have this, but I think you really get it with Kiyoma and Kirisu.
Yeah.
That they have this kind of back and forth, this like intellectual energy in their conversation and dialogue that they're very just like one after the other.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, and in a lot of like you know, the big budget Hollywood movies, like there's unfortunately, I guess, like, and that's a subjective opinion for me. There's a tendency of pacing that that everybody does in typical movies and like TV shows, that it's more dramatic and more slowed down than how that conversation would actually appear in real life, right? Because it's a piece of art, and you have to be careful with that pacing so that your audience feels the emotions that you want them to. But God, I love it when like shows like Kaguya-sama Love is War, but primarily Steins Gate so far is so like, I feel like how the shots were over the shoulder. I feel like so immersed that I'm peeking into this like living, breathing world, and it's not like cut up for me. Like it's cut up to tell a story, and I'm getting to like just watch this history happen, I guess. It's
to me, the editing and the composition of the shots, I think, has a form of like dissonance to it.
Yeah.
Or is it dissonance?
Dissonance.
That there's this kind of discordant note. There's like something slightly off that leaves you slightly suspicious, slightly unsettled, but only slight and subtle, like where it's not actually something scary on the screen or something creepy on the screen, but there's something that's like not perfect or symmetrical about what's being shown to you, so it gives you that kind of unsettled feeling. And
but it doesn't linger at all.
No.
It's like so quick to get back to like comedy or like...
Right, and it's like you keep, in this episode specifically, I mean, it might have been the other episodes, but I really did notice it in this episode, that it kept feeling like you could have seen someone over his shoulder or coming up behind him in a lot of these shots. Like, I almost expected it a few of the times because of the shot. I'm like, well, why else are you showing me this wide screen of the background of the street and only this much of his face on like one side of the screen if you're not going to show me someone walking down the street or coming out from behind the alley or popping up behind his shoulder? And it was really interesting to have those shots and then know in the plot he feels like he's being watched by this organization. Yeah. So the shots and the composition went with the actual character and his feelings of being watched like he has someone behind him.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And you need to have like significantly, like, you need to have amazing writing for the kinds of anime that this show is, that isn't like in your face Demon Slayer animation.
Oh, it's like a crazy action sequences.
I am like glued like in the past few episodes in the show.
The show
like,
is
I'm
all mostly dialogue heavy in terms of like what's happening that's entertaining.
But the animation's good and consistent. Yeah. It's like I don't know. I okay. Enough gushing about Steins Gate 4 episodes in. Let's talk about this episode a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, starting off, we read a little bit more of that email or report from, what's his name, Jellyman?
Jellyman.
Yeah. Mismatch. Dead. Mismatch. Like, so...
That word choice seems odd to me because I don't know if that's just, like, a translation thing or...
What is required in a human being that this experiment would work on? You know, like what's the thing that this human who died lacked?
It could have been right person, wrong timeline, and that's what was mismatched.
But I assume that it's my assumption is they're trying to figure out time travel, so they are trying to let a person travel throughout time, and then when I think of human, dead, mismatch, I think of a gooey banana that is traveled back but not intact, and that person probably ended up looking like a gooey banana.
Oh, interesting that when they sent... See, yeah, I was going the different way because I was thinking of, like, mismatched socks. So then I was thinking maybe it's, like, the right person, but the wrong timeline. Or, you know, that they were supposed to kill this person, but it was the wrong timeline or something. Or they weren't supposed to kill this person, but they were supposed to kill someone. I don't know. That's where I was going with the word.
Yeah.
But you're right to kind of use something that's actually in the story, which is the gel banana in the phone microwave.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's like... There's something that isn't right exactly, because you need to be specific and precise, that made it so that it didn't work. What little, like, notch do you have to get to the right thing? Is it like a human DNA anatomy type thing? Do you need to find correct world line that would allow you to travel to without any loss of form? At the moment, all we got is gooey bananas, right? And
now we're not even getting gooey bananas.
Yeah, exactly. And to try to catch back up to CERN, I guess, or get on the same level as them, we have the IBN5100, and we're going to be able to decode what, code they are putting out. That would put us on a pretty similar level.
The programming language.
What do we need to, like, make it successful? What's, like, is it, like, the right person? Is it, like, the right device? Is it the right, I don't believe Kiyoma is necessarily born with something in him that allows him to be the only person to travel. I think that the fact that maybe one day he invents time travel or is able to would be the reason that he has these experiences in parallel world lines, I don't know.
And these weird memories that are mixed up.
Yeah, but that whole plot line is so interesting, dude. Before we get to it, because, like, obviously we have the whole IBN 5100 10 years ago, in the year 2000, was left by somebody for this purpose.
It was specifically hidden in a safe place, a shrine.
Yeah.
For a young man that was going to come ask for it or look for it one day.
But when you break down, like, how specific it is, whose shrine it is, if you obviously wouldn't be able to go to Ruka because we got her or his age in this episode, 17, right? 10 years ago, Ruka would be 7. So that would be a hard sell if it was Kiyoma in the future, or, like, time traveled back to try to set up this process of events. He would need to give it to Ruka's father. At the moment, it has to either be Kiyoma or somebody connected to Kiyoma, like, who has left that IBN 5100 there.
I don't know, because, like, we hear that in this current timeline, this world line, John Titor didn't go to 2000 in America. Never been to 2000. It doesn't fit with the idea that maybe he did go to 2000, but in Japan to leave this computer for Kiyoma, because then he said he never went to the year 2000, no matter where, in Japan or America. So, gosh.
I don't think it'd be John Titor at the moment, and the reason I think that is because it's so well hidden. Like, if you're trying to hide something,
specifically hidden for this character to be the one that finds it, yes.
Right? And it's like, it's a safe place in that sense. Like, regardless of how big this world gets, and World War III, and, the organization CERN, there is that, like, hidden piece of information that we've already been given, or the most obscure, about, oh, I have a connection with Ruka and this family, and they have a shrine, and, like, that's very specific and something that only a few people would know, and those few people would have to either be Kiyoma or somebody close to him.
And with future knowledge that Kiyoma would probably stay friends with this childhood friend and family.
Yep. So who would have that knowledge other than
future Kiyoma?
Or somebody close.
Or someone close to Kiyoma.
Do you think it's him in the future that went back and left it so that he could find this?
I don't know, because then we also have this idea of Kurisu's father.
Yeah.
being mentioned in this
Oh,
this
you're
episode
so
too.
right.
So I think the addition of that, and then her being so against the idea of time travel in its existence, lends to her father being probably actually a part of the plot in some way, whether her father's John Titor, her father is the person that's leaving these breadcrumbs for Kioma.
Yeah.
Her father is Kioma. I don't
I don't know. If I'm completely honest with you, I had that same thought right before you said it, and I was like, "No, I'm crazy." Yeah. Because I was like, "Fuck, Christina," like that. There's so much like emphasis on that, you know, in the naming.
The dynamic they have is as if they've known each other for a very long time.
And then there was so much emphasis this episode on like the whole, oh yeah, you guys must be friends.
Yeah,
we had
must
two
be
different
friends.
sets of father and son, father and daughter type of conversations this episode too.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, like I don't know.
I do like that idea. I mean, I think that there was evidence that could go with that theory.
I think it's crazy, but yes.
I don't know if it's like necessarily crazy, because I feel like there were themes of child and father in this episode in multiple ways. And then we also know that there is a time travel element. So I feel like it's not completely out of the box.
Yeah. God.
It's working with evidence that we've been given. So...
And I can't put my finger on it. And I can't put my finger on it. And I can't put my finger on it.
And I can't put my finger on it.